I'm a podcaster.
I have to get back to my university.
Yes, Sajno will guide you.
Nostalgia podcaster.
On the way to Delhi, you will stop at Pankot.
I should really be watching 80s or 90s movies.
You will go to Pankot Palace.
I thought the palace had been deserted since...
No. Now there is a new...
Nostalgia podcast.
And again, the palace has the power of the dark light.
Hey, I'm Joe.
I'm Ken.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dan.
We are the Rewinders podcast, rewinding and rebooting movies to see if they hold up. And this time, we Kalimad, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
I'll do my best not to rip this movie apart like Indiana Jones' shirt.
But isn't that sexy enough?
I mean,
Isn't that what we want? We want to see his manly chest.
yeah, I mean, that's what we want from a movie, not from a person ripping apart a beloved movie.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying.
Oh, hey, this was not a beloved movie for me.
What?
Weakest of the trilogy, hands down.
What about the quadrilogy?
We don't talk about that.
We will.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and die on a hill. I actually like this more than Raiders.
Oof.
Oh, that's a bold
Yeah,
statement.
I know, and I'll get into that a little bit more later on. But I formed that opinion last night after watching it again.
Interesting.
Out of the three, this is the one I watched the most. And that's because it was probably on HBO or whatever a lot. So I watched it a lot.
See, and I watched this one probably the least. I think total amount of views I've seen this movie is maybe 3. I never watched it. Wow. It was always Last Crusade for me. That was always the one that was on.
I would watch this one. I think I watched it twice prior to this week, where I watched it 2 more times. So I've doubled my viewership of this movie, I think. The other 2 I've seen many more times. Usually it's just because of convenience, like you're saying, Joe. It's whatever I can get my hands on at the time, which happened to be Last Crusade or Rolling Rock Raiders.
You're a child drinking the Rolling Rock.
Yeah, drinking that Kool-Aid.
Explains so much.
Barley Kool-Aid.
I actually really liked this movie when I was a kid. Really liked it. I mean, double digits watching for sure. Highly entertained by it. Loved the action of it. Everything, almost everything that I remembered from it, nothing surprised me. Like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. No, I kind of remembered just about everything in the movie. So it's like being a kid watching a movie again.
I can definitely see where you're coming from, especially if you're watching this as a kid. I mean, you got your representation of Short Round for you, who's mostly able, does a lot of fun stuff, and just a lot of fun, different things that happen in the movie.
Yeah.
And it keeps moving, which is great as well.
So much to disagree with about that.
It's of the 3, it's aimed at kids the most.
Yeah, for sure.
And even with that, though, I mean, chilled monkey brains, all them bugs.
Which
I remember
is,
that grossing me out as a child.
Which is super ironic that you say that this is geared towards children the most, considering this is the movie we have to thank for the PG-13 rating.
I have to just say, it's the most adaptable to younger audiences. It has so many silly moments. It has so many zany things. I read that it's like the darkest of the bunch, and I was like, I guess. I don't know. I guess ripping hearts out is not very kiddish, but I never really took it to be. I thought it was kind of
I don't know, man.
freaky,
They
not
force
scary.
Indy to drink blood out of a skull. I mean, that's pretty fucked up too for a kid to see.
Yeah, I mean, remember the first time you saw somebody waterboarded, nonetheless with blood?
Right? Trickling out of a decaying skull, nonetheless.
I stand by my statement that this is the kiddie one of the bunch. I will not back
Just
down.
wait until you see Crystal Skull. I'm excited.
Oh, God.
I think we should just, when we do Crystal Skull, is just Joe has to watch it like immediately before we record, no earlier.
Okay.
And then the entire episode is just Joe dealing with the movie.
I am totally in favor
You got
of
it.
that.
It's like a month away, but you got it.
Oof. Joe, I'm willing to give you 24 hours because I don't know if that's long enough.
No, we want pure, raw, undigested feelings about that movie.
I went and saw that movie in the theaters, and we're not talking about it yet, but I sat through the whole thing
Yep, I did too.
because I was in a theater.
I wasn't gonna
Same
give up
here.
the amount of money that I paid to get into that show.
And honestly, it wasn't bad. I mean, yeah, there were some pretty terrifying parts in the beginning that made me question things, but overall, the nostalgia train was high, and we were all chugging along for the ride until that last 10 minutes. I remember all of us walking out of that theater. It was just this feeling of defeat.
Silence.
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 You could
Absolute
feel it.
silence.
Absolutely. You could feel it in the air. You could cut it with a knife.
No one was talking.
There were people dressed as Indy, people dressed as Sala, like everybody just walking out of the theater, like just silence. It was beautiful. It was a
Yeah.
beautiful time to be alive.
And not like in that movie, The Quiet Place, where everyone walks out all silent and being like, oh shit.
No, not like that. Not silent like, oh, that was a good movie.
Let me just take that in for a little bit longer. No, this was, Anyway, we're not talking about that
Yeah.
movie.
Nope.
We're talking
No,
We have
about
so much to talk about.
the Temple of Doom.
Yes, the Temple of Doom, Kalima!
So, the trailer I shared with everybody, did that do a good job for pitching the movie, making you interested?
Joe,
Did it
I'm
tell
not
too
going to
much?
lie. I forgot to watch
No.
It did a good job of outlining
How
what
dare
the
you?
movie.
Did it?
I remember to watch it. I watched it right before I watched the movie today.
I thought it was literally the weakest that we've watched to date.
It looked like they gave a bunch of footage to someone and said, pitch this. And they went,
what?
okay. Indiana
Here we go.
Jones. Action.
Isn't that how they used to do the movie, the
Stuff.
trailers? They just like, here's some finished footage. Let's put this in the trailer and call it good.
Yeah, but they also, like, talked a lot.
That's true.
And
There
said
was
way too much.
There was a surprisingly little amount of talking in this trailer, which I was on board for. Probably why I was
How-
so optimistic about it.
How long was that trailer even? I watched it once and I
Felt
didn't
like
watch it a
20,
second.
30 seconds at most.
It wasn't long. That's for
It is
sure.
a minute and 5 seconds.
Yeah,
It's
that's
still shorter than most of the ones we have on this show.
Yeah.
Because that is as rare for a trailer. I would probably guess that later trailers got much longer and talked way more. I think we just got an early trailer
I just watched
cut.
it while you guys were talking. It's only a minute and a half, or a minute and 5 seconds long. I completely disagree with you guys. I think that the trailer is perfect. It does what it needs to do. It just shows all the action, shows that, hey, Indy's back, get ready for another adventure.
Exactly.
And it doesn't give anything away for the most part. There's a lot in that trailer, and that's what I
It
expect
gives
out
you
of an indie
nothing to
movie.
work with.
That's
It gives you nothing to work with.
It gives you so much. It gives you so much. It is just it's a buffet of things Indy's going through. There's planes, there's China, there's India, there's crazy cults, there's Indy swinging on a whip, there's gunshots, there's Tommy guns through windows. I mean, it's just right from the get-go. Holy shit, get ready, here comes Indy again.
When you're coming off a perfect movie like Raiders of the Lost Ark, you don't need to try to sell the story. You don't need to try to sell people convincing thing. You need to sell Indiana Jones doing what Indiana Jones does best, and that is batshit crazy stuff.
And I would say that minute and 5 seconds definitely just did that.
Yeah.
It seemed lackluster to me, comparatively.
I did like that I had no idea really what's going on, and it did look like there's multiple destinations in the film, which is a pseudo fact. Yes, there are multiple places in the film.
It's not quite as travel-y as that first one we just watched, where you're looking at the map and he's like, oh, flying here, flying there, flying here. No, he starts in Shanghai, I believe.
Yeah.
And then crash lands in India, and that's pretty much the whole thing. Shanghai and India.
Indeed, indeed.
Shanghai, India. It's the third of the Shanghai films.
Shanghai Nights.
Shanghai Noon.
Noon, that's
Shanghai,
the one.
India.
Perfect.
Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan.
Gonna
Owen
kick his
Wilson.
way through India with Chris Tucker.
Jackie Chan's name in that movie?
What?
Chong Wayne. John
Okay.
Wayne, basically.
I don't think I've ever noticed that before.
We're off topic here.
Yes, we are. So, mixed bag on the trailer.
Yeah. So, somebody was excited to pitch this movie this week.
I was just excited to be watching a movie, not TV shows that I hate.
Yeah.
Who's going to pitch the follow-up to Raiders of the Lost Ark?
I got it. Unless anybody else has something.
Go for
I don't have
it.
anything.
I got nothing.
All right.
I will try my damnedest to pitch you guys on Crystal Skull.
Sounds good.
Oh, I'm delighted. All right. You guys ready? All right, guys.
Yes.
So, Raiders of the Lost Ark, right? I mean, that was a huge hit. I mean, come on, Lucas and Spielberg, they really put a lot into that movie, didn't they? And everybody seemed to love it, right?
Knocked it out of the park.
Exactly. Well,
Made so much money.
yeah, exactly. And I just got done talking to the guys, and well, I'm not gonna lie, it's not good. Lucas is getting divorced, and Spielberg just broke it off with his girlfriend. So they're both in a pretty dark place right now. But they're really ready to go on another indie film. It's just I don't know how to put this lightly. They want everyone to feel how they feel right now. So they kind of want to take it to a darker tone. Now I'm not sure what that means specifically. I don't know what they're going to be getting at with that, but details are pretty sparse at this point. They just want to do another one.
I mean, how bad is it going to be? Are they going to want, like, severed arms and severed fingers all over the place? Come on.
No. I don't think they're thinking a horror movie of any sorts. I just think I think they want it to be a darker tone. I think they want to get away from. I don't know. From what I heard them talking about something with kids being whipped and I don't know, some sort of crazy cult stealing things and bringing famine to a town. I have no idea where they're going with this, but yeah, that's what they're at least telling me, at least right now. They want to do another one.
I am 90% certain kids getting whipped was not in the pitch meeting.
But that's just it. Indy saves the kids getting whipped. Isn't that great? Indy's got a soft spot for kids.
That's indie, right?
Yeah.
They get saved.
Yeah, see, he's even a bigger hero than we thought he was. But anyways, yeah, I mean, they're excited. They want to do a sequel to Indy, except for it's not really a sequel. It's a prequel. So there's that. I forgot to mention that.
Wait, what?
It's a prequel.
Huh?
It's a prequel to Raiders.
How do they justify this?
They're justifying it as if you look at all the collection of Indiana Jones' stories, this is just what happened before Raiders happened. So this would be like a volume in a long short story collection of Indiana Jones, and Raiders was another volume.
You can't
Okay.
see me, but I can't understand how this is how this has to be a prequel at all.
Well, that's just what they want, guys.
Okay.
Whatever.
It'll
make
has
make
Harrison
money.
Ford.
All right, excellent. Thank you. I'll let them know. I'll let them know.
Oh, yeah, definitely gonna make money.
This is like the most, like we've been like, whatever.
Just push it over the edge with a stick.
Does it mean more money? Yes. Okay, fine.
It definitely brought some very important exposition right off the cuff, which is they were both in a really bad spot. Checks out. That completely makes sense for this movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. What do you do when you're the two most influential and successful directors of all time in the midst of breakups in your personal life? You translate
Fuck
that to
everything
film.
up. Nuke everything.
Do your best to be away from everything and make a movie and not think about it, but then put all that shit right into a movie.
Exactly.
Can't say I don't blame them.
Yeah. No.
Or however you're supposed to say that.
And knowing that makes you aware why Winnie is such an annoying character through the movie.
Willie.
Willie, yeah.
Willie?
Yeah, Willie.
I thought it was
Willie.
Winnie. Yep,
No,
Willie.
Willie.
I wrote it as...
That's
I
your
wrote
stage
it
name.
as
And
Willie.
that's funny you say that, Joe, because this time watching it, I was going into it fully prepared because I always hated her character. She was so ridiculously annoying.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mind her this time. I don't know, like watching it this time for the third time, going into it knowing that and getting ready, clenching my teeth, I didn't really actually hate her performance at all. There was only one scene that I still really hated, and I'll get to that later, but overall she didn't annoy me as much as she used to. I actually liked her character and liked the dynamic of everyone in this film this time.
I have the flip of it. When I was a kid, it didn't even bother me. I didn't think about it. I guess I just didn't cue in on it.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I'm like, just kick her out of the airplane. Let's just be done with this.
I'm in
She's
that
not
same boat.
bringing anything. Okay, she pulled the lever. She did that.
She also gave him something heavy to bash another guy with.
Okay, she did
So he gets
two
pulled
things
into
in
a-
the movie.
Yeah.
does not redeem her
Because
poor
of-
character qualities.
No, is she as strong of a character as Miriam? No. No,
no.
not even close. But is she still a good, fun character to be along the ride? I'd say yeah.
No.
It was a good dynamic having her there.
Did we need to have two characters yelling at Indiana Jones the entire time, giving him completely useless tips?
Are you saying?
How
are
many
you trying
times
to
do you
say
need to
short
tell
round
Indiana
is
Jones
useless?
to hurry up?
Are you saying short round's useless in this film?
The amount of times he says, "Indy, hurry," is just maddening.
He was going slow. He had to hurry up.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones was ziplining on a chain down to the cart. There's nothing he can do to go faster.
Maybe kick his legs.
Okay, sure.
Because, that helps
Do
you
a
go
little
faster.
bicycle thing so you can pretend like you're pedaling faster. Yeah, I can understand in the situation where Short Round would be like, "Indy, hurry, like I don't want you to leave behind," but like maybe not actually yelling it out there.
Well, hey, I feel like we're getting a little far off track here with the things that we gripe about. So let's let's
right.
get back in the funnel here and talk about things that we did like about the film. So
The last half hour of this entire movie has all of the indie action that the movie should have had across the entirety of the almost 2 hours.
oh, come on. Right off the get-go, they always wanted to do a James Bond movie, so you got freaking Indiana Jones as James Bond in the get-go of the film. That first 5 minutes?
Indiana Jones is not James Bond!
I know, but he wasn't specifically James Bond. It was a fun little take on it. So within that first 5 minutes, you really get to see him actually making some back-end shady deals that you normally don't think about him having to go through, or at least thought you'd see on film. I enjoyed that, because instead of just him being a professor or him just being in a dusty archaeological dig, it shows some character of him. It shows him in the back end, shows Indy in his smarmy ways trying to actually make a buck.
Him being villainous scum.
He wasn't being villainous. He retrieved an artifact that they wanted, and he was getting money back from them. They were villainous
And he
when
was
they
going to
poisoned him.
have someone else kill somebody for him.
No. That was his backup. That was his friend with a revolver in case things got hairy. When things got hairy, he signaled for him to come over. He wasn't going to have him kill him.
Now, to be fair, things were already hairy at that
Exactly.
point.
He's sitting there
Were they
gasping
not?
and choking, trying not to die.
I mean,
So-
no, I mean, like, the night before, the guy sends his son to try to murder Indiana Jones.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So, like, he shows up. It's a very arrogant thing for him to show up at that point and give an artifact to this guy that belongs in a museum.
Yeah.
Don't they all, according to him?
But it's for this diamond. We don't know what the big deal about that diamond is. The
big.
doubloons probably have more historical value to it, but there you have it.
There it be.
I guess in the way things work, I guess that's where it kind of has to be a prequel because he's less into his being all about things, so the history of things and things belong in museums. He's not in a teaching position quite yet. I mean, it sounded like his teaching was in Delhi. I don't know if that was a lie or not, but it's like it definitely sounds like it was a early life Indiana Jones. So it does kind of make sense that he would be wheeling and dealing, trying to make an extra buck,
Yeah.
while trying to also make his name in the archaeological world.
Archaeological world, yes. I don't know. For me, I thought the opening was super fun, super zany. It was fun. I liked it. I liked the acting from Harrison Ford because, yes, while you can question if the dude was really poisoned and it's a fast-acting poison, as they said, why does he have so much time stumbling around and fighting before he could potentially die? But at the same point, there are some points which I don't know, I was appreciating it. Like, there's a spot where he basically stumbles backwards and he grabs a glass of water and sprays it against his face because, he splashes against his face because he's trying to keep himself focused and keep himself awake as he's being affected
Dying.
by the poison.
Yeah.
That was cool. I love that. Little pieces like that were so sweet. And then, I don't know, just the zany hilarity of the antidote being kicked around on the dance floor. All of that was gold for me.
Then just always one-upping themselves. First, you get the people running back and
Yes.
forth in the ballroom trying to not get shot, but like they don't actually leave the room. They just keep on running around in circles, apparently.
Yep.
Kicking things.
Dumping the ice over
You
to,
got them all-
to mess with the diamond and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and then you got the balloons being dumped on the dance floor.
Yep. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the opening. I thought the opening was action-packed, and it was just a really good, like, here you go, here's Indy. Indy's back in your face right away.
And then the movie goes over the cliff.
And it's serious, but not too serious. It's got that comic book kind of serial edge to it.
Yes, it's got that goofiness to it, and I loved it.
A little too much to its own detriment.
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
It definitely sets up a weird tone for the movie.
Yeah, it makes you think that the guy from Shanghai is gonna be back or something. Like he's gonna be a villain that goes throughout other movies, and nope, that's it. He's done.
He's just a medium with which to get him to India.
Stage prop.
Indeed. So was Dan Aykroyd, which was rather unexpected but kind of funny.
I keep on missing him. I saw him in the credits. I was like, wait, who's... What? Dan
He's
Aykroyd?
the guy talking.
He doesn't really have his face open to the camera.
No, it was very much a cameo. He was the guy getting Indy on the plane, explaining that there's a bit of a shakeup and how he'd be riding on the cargo plane instead. Talking kind of like the British accent. Yeah, that was Aykroyd on the tarmac.
Nice.
But yeah, that's at least the first opening bits for me, the stuff that I had for notes. I don't want to take up everybody else if anybody else has things they liked.
Nope.
There's plenty of things to like about this movie.
Well, go on. Tell us.
Like
Okay,
Club Obi-Wan.
Boo.
Oh, shut up, Joe.
It's got a really good flow to it. So like he does the dealing, gets dropped off in India. Now he's got to go, in order to get a guide back to Delhi, he's got to go take care of this place where kids are being kidnapped to. And the kid comes down, the skinny kid comes and like, there's more kids, go save them. And now he feels obligated that he has to not only go do this thing because these people asked him to and they're giving him a guide, but also like, hey, there's kids in deep trouble. And so then they get there, and then there's the weird feast, and I mean it's definitely a good flow to it. It keeps the movie flowing and feeling like you're just following that story. It's really well set up.
I completely agree with that, Ken. I feel like the flow for this movie, I kept on waiting for a point where it felt like it was going to hiccup, but it never did. I felt like everything led to something, and that felt really nice. In contrast, I keep remembering the big hiccup for Raiders for me is you feel like the movie's almost done, and then the whole submarine part happens. It's like the submarine has to intercept the ship. He has to ride the submarine just for all that extra shit to happen on the island.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Dark Knight. Dark Knight wraps up with Joker hanging off the building, and all of a sudden there's all that extra shit afterwards, the Two-Face and everything. It's like, oh, okay, there's more movie.
It didn't pull a Two Towers, though.
Yeah.
Return of the King had more
Return of the
endings
King.
than Two Towers.
Either way, that was one of those movies where I'm just like, you know what? I won't pee before I go to the movie.
That's a great idea.
And then I bought an extra large soda.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh,
I forget
boy.
which ending I stopped caring and just got up and went.
Do we really want to recap the ending of Lord of the Rings?
No.
All right.
Yeah.
No, we're good.
I think Short Round is stellar in this movie. That character is
Yes.
so well developed next to Indiana Jones, saying that Indiana Jones rescued him during a conflict and basically became his de facto father, even though apparently this is a prequel, and then ditches him somewhere because we never see him again.
He's in a school. He's going to school.
Yeah. And he gave him a better life.
Can't get out of school. Got to go to school. I always remember Short Round being an annoying little,
Putz.
like I was saying earlier, yelling, "Indy, fix this." The watching it this time around, I there was still that feeling, but then there's also that moment where they're playing poker in the woods. Mm-hmm. Then it's Willie's turn to be the annoying person. I really enjoyed that interaction with them too, where Short Round keeps on accusing Indiana Jones of cheating, and then Indy's like, "Oh, what's this?" And he pulls a card out of his sleeve.
Yes. I just freaking love Short Round.
They open up and he has far too many cards already. They know each other's cheating because someone had like 5 of one card. Mm-hmm. So it makes it more fun.
And let me just build off what you guys said. That scene specifically for me was one of my favorite scenes put on film in this movie. I loved that entire camp scene. I love the interactions between Indy and Short Round. I love Willie running around. I laughed. I mean, I know it's stupid, but I laughed damn hard at the bat. I mean, the bat stuck in her hand as she's screaming back at it. I was laughing so damn hard. And then, of course, all that build-up with the damn elephant trunk constantly messing with her, for her to whip that snake off at the end, and Indy's shocked, terrified reaction as he's backing up against the log because he doesn't want to deal with it. That whole camp scene was great.
When she grabs the snake and throws it, it's really funny. It's a lot of good fun. However, the fact that she can like just grab what she thinks is an elephant trunk and throw it doesn't bother her one bit because the thing's gone.
Well, no, she just dealt with all that scary stuff and she's angry. She's not thinking straight.
Sure. The trunk's attached to the elephant's face, and I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
She just must be really out of it and needed something cathartic.
Yeah.
Cathartic?
Yeah.
There you go.
You were almost there.
Yep, I'm going to be wonderful at pronouncing words today.
That elephant actually ate her dress.
Oh, that's enough to be angry about.
But that was in reality, not in the movie.
Really? That's cool.
The whole interaction between Willie and that elephant was a well played out long game in the movie, even though it was not that long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
when she grabbed that snake and said cut it out and threw it, I laughed hard because I didn't realize the setup was being played in front of me. As she threw it and screamed about it, I laughed so damn hard because I realized all the freaking trunk scenes had led up to that moment, and I wasn't putting it together until then. I loved it, loved it, loved it.
And then they were done with the trope.
Yeah, they were done with the trope. And I will piggyback off of Short Round. Short Round's one of my favorite characters from the indie series. I freaking love Short Round. Again, I'm sad that we never got to see him again in any capacity, but the time we spent with Short Round in Temple of Doom is amazing, and still has one of my most quoted quotes of all movie cinema history of, "Hey, Dr. Jones, no time for love." I freaking love that quote.
Right up front.
It makes me so happy every time I hear it.
Yeah, his quotes are all good. The no time for love, when he repeats fortune and glory, you call him Dr. Jones. Then he gives the ultimate zinger to Willie. Maybe he likes older women. I was like, yeah, zing! Old lady.
But compared to the Maharaja, who is 8, 12 maybe?
Still.
Somewhere in that age
It's a
group.
good zinger.
You can be 20 and still be older and not old.
Yeah. You may have thought he was annoying.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fun character. And I assume that's also because I watched this a lot as a kid and identified probably, this kid's doing awesome.
Yep.
Not nearly as good as the kid in the Goonies.
It's the same.
Same kid. Joe just found that out recently.
I did.
Oh, wow.
I never
okay.
thought to
Yeah.
put them together.
Short Round is Data. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I have to toss in my last favorite piece because for me this is a big one. This is nostalgia and this is my adulthood. I freaking love this scene. Out of all three indie movies, and yes, I will say all three. Out of all three indie movies, this is one of the most memorable scenes for me, and I don't know why, because with so much going on between all three movies, I don't know why this sticks out the most, but it's one of my most quoted. It's one of those scenes that I always think about when I think about Indiana Jones and laugh my ass off, even without seeing it physically, just because I remember it so vividly. The scene with the spike trap, and just the way he delivers that line of, "We are going to die!" That is my favorite freaking spot in the entire trilogy. I come back to it every time, laugh my ass off, and then I think about it and chuckle fondly for the next few years.
There's a lot of good moments in that scene, too.
Yeah, and having only seen it 3 times, for something to stick with me like that, I mean, I don't know. That scene, for me, I love his fist shaking through the hole. I love him arguing with Willie through the hole. That whole scene's just so much fun.
And then Short Round getting upset. You told me to lean against the wall. I leaned against the wall. You told me to do this.
Yup.
And then Willie's butt ends up doing it again. Thinks Willie.
And Indy almost loses his arm trying to grab his hat.
If I think about this for just a second, I feel like the how much she whines, how much he is always doing unhelpful things, shouting out unhelpful dialogues just because they need to fill space, I feel like, is really annoying to me. However, you don't, if you were to replace them with somebody who is knowledgeable and easygoing, I don't think you would have the same tone for this movie. I feel like the movie would definitely be a lot darker and a lot more actiony, and probably something they would try to go for these days. It would definitely be a different movie altogether, and I don't think it would have been nearly as fun, as good of a movie if they would have made the characters not so
hateable.
Yeah,
it's hard because Willie's a foil. It's hard to make a foil likable, I guess, and with making them actively the foil of your lead character. And I mean, in this case, it's all just because she's a fancy lady who does performing and likes rich things. She don't like camping or riding elephants or going into the jungle.
Yeah, it's the pompous fish out of water trope.
Yeah, still don't like the character.
Sure. And she's definitely not in her element. She was much more in her element when she was in the club. And she seemed a lot more confident, a lot more, not just confident, but able to do things. So, and taking her out of that, now all of a sudden she's like, oh, what the hell am I supposed to be doing? Tell me. So, yeah, I guess it makes sense for her character to be that way. For sure.
I just don't understand what Indiana Jones sees in her, other than she's a pretty lady. I guess that's enough for him.
Yeah, that's probably pretty much it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you on that one.
I really like the bugs. All the bugs were a lot of fun. Because as a kid, I had no idea what the hell those things were. I'm like, oh my God, those are all freaky, crazy bugs and they're big.
Yep.
And now you realize they're climbing up dummy pants and they're on the back of a wig on a dummy. And you're like, oh, it's not as crazy anymore. But I still like crazy looking bugs.
I love showing around to likening him to stepping on fortune cookies. It's just... Oh,
that was really good.
It's such a good use.
Kind of racist.
He's Asian. How is it racist?
Yes,
because fortune cookies are American.
Oh my God.
They were invented in America.
Oh my God, Ken. Don't tell me this. This makes me sad. I didn't realize that. I feel really depressed now.
Yup.
I'm sorry to do that to you.
I take back what I said. Holy shit.
I love fortune cookies. They're
no
delicious. They're my favorite part of going to a crappy Chinese restaurant. However, they're distinctly American.
Well, that makes me very sad now. Holy shit.
it won't make you feel bad when you watch The Last Dragon. Last Dragon's got the master who makes all the fortunes to put in the fortune cookie.
Oh.
Am I talking about something that no one else understands right now?
Yes.
You all suck.
So modern fortune cookies, yes. But fortune cookies do date as far back as the 19th century in Kyoto, Japan.
Interesting.
And a fortune cookie originally was a little different than what we have. It's a darker dough. Batter contains sesame and miso rather than vanilla and butter, and they do contain a fortune. However, the small slip of paper was wedged into the bend of the cookie rather than placing it in the hollow portion.
Interesting.
So the fortune cookie as we know it might be that, but yes, they did exist before that.
Ha! Awesome.
Ha!
Well, you traced it back to Kyoto. That's not where Short Round is from. Short Round is definitely Chinese because he's
From Shanghai. Yes.
But still, that's pretty close. He might have heard of a fortune cookie before.
sure still kind of racist.
A little bit.
Yeah.
But it's still a wonderful description because when you say that, I get what he's saying. It makes sense.
Sure. But there's other crunchy things he could be stepping on that he knows about.
Yeah.
It goes back to source material. Source material are the classic cereals that were around in like the 50s or whatever time period that was, with white American exceptionalism going around and saving the world on high adventure. It plays into the racism that was inherent in that system. And to be honest, this movie does better with the local culture, I think, than the first movie did.
Yeah, and
Yes.
they definitely had a higher cast of local people,
Yes.
which is great.
It didn't get over the hiring local actors to play speaking roles, though, because there was definitely several not local actors in speaking roles.
When I looked them up, most of them were from like Delhi and stuff. So I think they did a better job this time around. I'm pretty sure I saw fillers that were in brownface, but I couldn't be sure.
Big guard guy with the beard?
Big guard guy is in brownface.
That's what I was pointing at.
He was the Nazi mechanic in the first movie. Can you see it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I can't. I was like, holy crap, they did a good job putting that beard on him and stuff and making him look very different. I was impressed when I learned that. Still, it's brownface.
Interesting.
And of course, the dinner meal is not at all what you would find at a big celebration in India. Not by far.
In that defense, they were in a presence of a cult.
Yeah.
So, like...
You're saying it should have been more of a tip-off rather than them just accepting...
Correct. Someone who knew Indian culture would know that meal was not prepared
traditionally.
And very specifically not Indian. I mean, there's how many vegetables did you see on that table?
None.
Yeah.
I think it was all weird animals, and most of them weren't cooked. They were just alive and wriggling around on the table.
Yup. So it's someone defended the film saying that dinner scene is like kind of Indiana Jones would have understood that because he understood Indian culture, but the movie says nothing about it. So
I tried paying attention to that, and I don't recall seeing Indiana Jones actually eating anything at that meal. Like, he was very much into his conversations.
Conversation with the Major and the Maharaja and Maitre D.
The Major D.
I don't know what he was. He was kind of like the go-between. He was like an elevated butler, kind of. He was a man who crossed cultures between what were the Indian people that were running the temple or area. I can't remember what they referred to it as, like the Maharaja, and then the colonials, the British. I think that's what his position was. Or I'm just making stuff up out of my butt. I don't know.
They don't really say exactly what.
He did come back later with a big drawing on his forehead and then got crushed. He was going to stab Indy.
Yep.
There are some themes that cross between both movies. One of them that I like is that Indiana Jones understands that this is a folklore. The saying from that piece of parchment saying like Shiva's saying this or that. I can't remember what it says. But that these stones mean something to the local people of that village. And it's been bad luck for the village. They've been suffering ever since a stone was taken from them. So he's like, cool, I'll get it back for you, whatever. But then again, by the end of the movie, something between all of this kind of shifted in him, and he starts basically chanting at Magram, or whatever his name was. Malgra, Galram, I can't remember. But the main bad guy. And he's chanting like, you did something against Shiva. Shiva's not happy about this. And the stones like flare up, and all of them fall out of his pouch, but they catch one. Spoilers. So it's the same kind of deal. He didn't believe in the whole folklore of the Ark at first, but then when stuff starts happening, he kind of, let's just shut our eyes through this and
just to be safe, let's not look at this. I know it could be cool, and if everyone's still alive after this, I mean, we'll be here. We can always take a look then. However, let's play on the safe side here. Yeah.
So that doesn't exactly play well with this being a prequel, because he would have already had a mystical experience in his history. Why would he treat the mystical folklore of Christianity in this whole scoff it off kind of way in a later time?
Because we don't know his experiences. However, a lot of his experiences don't end that way. Usually it's just artifacts. He goes on a boat and retrieves the Cross of Coronado. It's not religious. It's a religious item, but there is no religious experience with it.
Not all artifacts are religious.
Or we could just chalk this up to being the weakest movie of the trilogy. I mean, I'm good with that.
That's the easy way out.
Yes, it is.
All right. I think it's a good movie in general for high action, fun, and you can bring family in to watch it. And in my mind, I'm sticking with it. It's not too scary. Yeah, it has some freaky imagery, and if your kids are not prepared for that, they won't like that. And you can say, get the hell out of this room,
sure,
kids.
I mean, there are a lot of things that if a child is sensitive enough, that this one would definitely be alarming for, like the guy being pulled into the machine and being rolled flat, the spikes getting
it's just like the guy getting
dastardly close,
getting blendered.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting there. These kind of things also happened in the first movie, where the guy runs away with the monkey statue or whatever it was, and Indiana Jones finds him later impaled on a spike trap that they didn't see the first time around.
Or should I bring up melting
And there's melting Nazis as well. I mean, this is...
But that's like a celebration.
This is a hallmark. These are hallmarks for this series, is borderline horror results from trying to get what you want.
Yeah, because we'll definitely get to it in The Last Crusade, but I mean, come on, he chose poorly. That's coming up too.
All right, I got to reward Dan. What are some of the things that we consider not so great about this film?
How granular do you want to be? Because the first, 45 minutes, I was taking notes pretty religiously. And then I started watching the movie instead of, critiquing every square inch of the film.
Before we go too deep into the anger, can I just say one more thing that I really liked? Or at least...
Yes, you can.
So there's the cart ride, which in and of itself is kind of silly or whatever in this movie. However, that looked like such a fun ride. That would be a great thematic ride at a amusement park.
Totally. That should be a roller coaster somewhere, and I'm sad it's not.
I'm pretty sure it was.
It might have been like a 4D experience at one time.
Yeah, that was another thing I had just while watching that one earlier. Was
the cart scene was a lot of fun as a kid. I mean, there's a lot of danger. There's a lot of action. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah,
that was good stuff.
It is a roller coaster.
Yeah, as a kid, it's the edge of the seat. I don't care that the cart jumps on empty track. That's stupid as hell, and physics don't work like that. But as a kid, it's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, and the water...
And he didn't take the left tunnel.
The water going down that...
he took the right tunnel.
Down the path. Crashing down the path would have caught up with them a lot faster than it did in the movie, but still, fun.
It wasn't there to kill them. It was there to add an element of, we're safe. No, we're not.
Another element of danger to keep them moving.
Indy punches a man and he lands on the ground and slides like 15 feet.
He punches that good.
He was that mad about kids.
It was a 1-inch punch.
How do I reach these kids?
1 inch. Apparently by punching them.
Ken, you don't 1-inch punch?
I tried it once, and I was buried alive.
Technically, I'm sure we all could keep talking about things we like. But Dan, you need your time in the sun.
I don't know. It could be because it was the movie that I watched the least growing up. It was just something that the way that this film compared to the other two films, it has always just rubbed me the wrong way. And I think it might be the addition of all of the extra zaniness.
Yeah, let's get something straight too, Dan. You're not alone in thinking this. I mean, this is regarded to indie fans as being the difficult film to love. There's definitely a large amount of people who did not like this movie as much as the other ones. And there's a lot of people who came out of this movie when it debuted in 1984 who also felt uneasy towards it in terms of how it felt quality-wise compared to Raiders. So this is a very divisive movie. People either love it or they hate it. They're middled by it. There doesn't really seem to be a strong consensus towards it. Like, everybody just unanimously agrees that movie's incredible. I mean, this really is
There's a lot of things that I do enjoy about the movie. There's a lot of details that if you weren't really paying attention to them, you wouldn't catch them. That I saw. Like, there are certain points in the movie that I enjoy. I just, comparatively to Raiders and I can't remember the other movie at the top.
Last Crusade.
Yeah, Last Crusade. Oh my god. I just, compared to those two, I just don't enjoy it.
And I understand that. For me specifically, I think the reason why I like this one so much is the change of locale. If you think Raiders and you think Last Crusade, what's the first thing you typically think of? Sand.
It's sand, deserts, yeah.
Sand.
Yes, this movie is so lush, it's so vibrant, it's tropical. I mean, it's got that tiki like tribal feeling to it, and that's why it feels like another adventure. For me, I feel like Last Crusade and Raiders are almost interchangeable with the fact... I mean, they're not. They take place in different places. There's Venice and everything else, but I feel like with those two specifically, it does take place majority in the sand and in desert-type scenarios. So, I don't know. It's just such a massive locale change for the second movie for me. Because even when you think about Crystal Skull, which we'll get into later, I mean, that's kind of got everything all in one. But yeah, this one really stands out on its own in terms of the locale, and I think that's why I appreciate it so much.
Okay, I can see that. I'm not gonna disagree with that. Like,
damn it, I was hoping you'd disagree.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
I think we can all agree the matte paintings are terrible.
Oh
for the
my
most part.
god!
There were matte paintings.
How about that alligator bridge, huh? When Short Round goes through.
But the alligators are so happy.
They are. They're rolling around, having a good time, munching on whatever else in the world.
fed.
We haven't eaten this well in so long. Thank you. Hum, nom, 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 nom.
As they roll over continuously. They're so happy.
That's all I could think of during the scenes. I'm like, man, those alligators, they are so happy right now. Oh, they're like, yes.
It is time to feed.
Yeah, and those green screens too. Yikes.
There were a couple scenes specifically. Like, there was a scene where they're walking in after getting out of the spike trap, where they're walking through, like, that room that's, like, all the lava, like, pyroflows, whatever it is, like all those stalactites and stalagmites that are glowing red. And you can totally tell that it's just them walking into a room interspliced with all that. So, because they have that, like, glow around their body almost. There's some bad stuff.
And then on the rocky cliff where the water shoots out of the tunnel, they're obviously
Clearly.
clinging to
The
a
entirety of the
Oh, yeah.
the scene with the minecarts, like, oof.
Yeah.
I did learn something cool about the minecarts in that they rigged a Nikon camera, an actual film camera, to have it feed regular film that they would shoot the movie with. It would feed through that, but it could only take one picture at a time, because back then those DSLRs
SLRs.
they're not even DSLRs, they're SLRs, couldn't do multiple pictures fast enough to do moving images, but they managed to do 1 second per shot, and then use that as the basis to run some of those models and stuff through the structure.
Yeah,
It was neat.
the technical aspect of this movie, there's some very interesting cinematography. I won't deny that. But man, so the way some of that stuff looks now is it's just rough.
Yeah, so we can't necessarily hold up the same candle to what we see these days in movies, just because the technology has come so much further and so much cheaper.
Yeah, it's easy to say, yes, the effects are kind of terrible. I mean, there's very few movies that you can watch from the 80s and earlier where the effects will blow you away.
Which, yeah.
Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good sticking
It's like
point.
it's like going back, and I actually just within the last few days going back and playing old video games and being like, I don't remember
These
this
games looking so crappy.
like this is awful. I only say that because I just restarted playing the Master Chief Collection, and they have built into the game engine, you push a button on your controller and it flips between the two textures. The updated high def textures for the entire game, and back to the original textures running in the new engine.
That's amazing.
It is awesome.
I'm going to have to see if I can find a video of that on the internet, because that sounds really neat to see.
If you have Xbox Live, or not Xbox Game Pass, it's on the Game Pass. And it's free.
There's a chance I might eventually get that, since they got rid of the yearly subscription. Fucking Microsoft. I don't know. We'll see if I'm still playing video games in 2 months when it's coming, when it comes due. I will be.
Dan, what else do you hate?
I don't know. The movie just really rubs me the wrong way, and I think it's because it feels the way that they start off with the premise of Indy being shady. I think that's what triggered me for this.
But they talk about that in the first movie with the guy, the French guy. He talks about how Indy is not exactly a clean person either.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to shoot you down.
It's just the way it is.
That's Indy's character for sure. I mean, look at the guy who did get steamrolled in this one. That's not the first time this has really happened. Like, he fights to the death with people. But if they're about to die and it's something that's catastrophic, like the guy being pulled in, he legitimately felt bad and tried his hardest to save that guy's life.
Tried to save him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I felt like he was pulling on that rope to try to stop that from happening.
Yep.
I didn't notice it until this playthrough, or I just didn't care as a kid. But yeah, he honestly is like, oh crap, yeah, you are going to die. Let me try to help you. Oh, there's no helping you. Goodbye.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, poor fella. He chose poorly.
Yes, he did.
I think one thing that I don't like about this movie is the lie about vampire bats.
Those are all fruit bats. Every single one of them.
Those are fruit bats.
What
I
are
don't
they?
remember
Fox?
what type they are,
Something
but it
fox?
took
Red fox?
a few years of
Flying
watching nature
foxes.
shows till I learned about bats. Thank you, Indiana Jones, for lying to me about vampire bats.
I was really confused.
And vampire bats do exist, but they just claw at the hooves of animals and lick the blood. They don't
have
bite
teeth.
you.
Yeah, they're
Well, they have
also
teeth, but they're not
that
like
big.
Yeah, they're like they're
No,
smaller
they're
than your
small.
hand. They're not, seagull size.
These things are bigger than seagull size. These are like raccoons with wings size.
Also, out flying during the day, is that a thing they actually do?
They can.
Twilight,
Okay.
I'd say yes.
Usually you think bats, sonar, mostly not able to see very well out at night.
Sonar is a misconception about bats. They also do have
yeah, they
vision.
have
It's just super poor. It's not like it's like talking to somebody who's blind. You don't see blind people just, staying indoors all day and only coming out at night.
Well, they should, Dan.
How dare you?
Stay inside with your blindness, jerk. Don't come out until I'm sleeping. I don't want to see that.
Come talk to me about my electrical bill.
So I gotta bring this up because I was just reading about the minecart chase and the bridge. But did you realize that Temple of Doom actually won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What?
That'll teach you guys for talking so much
Oh,
shit.
I have learned
Yeah, right?
something new.
It's still pretty bad.
There you go, holding your candles again.
But I mean, they
Nominated or won?
They probably got acknowledged for doing new things and stuff like that. So.
And actually, just to double back on the potential cultural insensitivity that we talked about earlier, the movie was originally, I guess, supposed to be filmed in India, but when they required altercations to the script, that's when they said, no, fuck that, we want to keep all this shit in here, and they decided to film in Sri Lanka instead.
Good for India for sticking up for themselves. Unfortunately, it still got made. It's a good movie.
And all those weird connotations that people who don't know about Indian culture got confused.
Yeah, especially back then before the internet and all
because of
the
it.
craziness that you can do with the internet, where we can sit here and talk about a movie, and while one person's talking, we can fact check everything that they say.
I don't do that.
That's fine. I like up to the date feedback as to what I'm saying, if it's right or not, because I don't know, and I say a lot of things that I've just heard before. So it's very nice to be able to be like, oh, okay, I was wrong. Nice. I can update my database right away, because I know I won't go, in the future, I won't go back and be like, is that right? Because I won't remember what I said. So, yeah, having the live feedback is great.
Well, we have other people here that are doing that for you. I will not. I got to keep my wireless internet up.
Yeah.
At all costs, so extra searching does not do me good here.
I got the wires. I ran a wire on purpose.
So the last thing we need to decide is, does this film hold up?
I believe we've already discussed that. There are certain parts of this movie that just don't.
Yeah, and it's
Even
gonna
if they won awards back in 1984, the visuals don't necessarily hold up very well. A lot of the practical effects really do.
It's gonna differ from person to person as well too, because this is, just to preface it, this is the most divisive Indiana Jones film outside of Crystal Skull. So this is the one that people didn't feel good about when it launched. But I don't know.
I don't know if Crystal Skull's divisive. I don't know many people on the positive side.
There are some people that I know who actually say it's okay, and they say it's not that bad of a movie. It's like,
I'm one of those people. It is a great movie.
I would
up
agree with
until
that.
the last 10
I would agree.
minutes.
There are a couple
I
things in the
disagree.
beginning that were kind of stupid, like
Hey,
the fridge.
this movie.
Like the fridge.
This movie. We're going to run out of things to talk about when we get to that movie.
I know. I don't know. This one's tough because even the creator doesn't enjoy the film, or I guess he denounces it at this point. So I don't know. It's a difficult one.
I think it boils down to, it starts off as maybe being an Indiana Jones film, like feeling like it, and then once they survive the plane crash, the movie changes into something else, and it's not Indiana Jones, and it doesn't feel like Indiana Jones till the last half hour when that action kicks back in.
I just gotta mention the raft going out the plane and deploying and then landing and going down the mountain is a practical effect that they had a raft company design it to do that, and they did it in one shot.
That's amazing.
One take. I was like, holy crap, because I watched it this time, and I'm like, there's no cuts. They're not cutting. It's deploying. You can see, which are obviously not people in it, but it doesn't matter. And I was like,
There's something there that could be maybe a
they're
character.
like dummies in there. But it was all designed just to do that, and it to me, it was like
2 out of 3 are
applause.
dummies, right?
Good job.
That's pretty cool. But how about immediately?
No, that is awesome.
How about immediately after that raft lands? How about that plane crash into the mountainside? Ooh.
And shakes the background. Yeah, it brings you back to reality a little bit there.
Oh no, I never said the thing I hated the most. The one thing I hated.
Okay.
Okay, this is the big thing I hated, and I put it down because every time I watch it, I always catch it. So the 3 times I've watched it, I've caught it. But anyways, when the plane is going towards the mountain, and he starts inflating the raft, she makes that horribly lame joke about we're not sinking, we're crashing. But then
I love that.
she
That's
does
a good
that.
joke.
She
Take
does
that
that.
back.
No, because it's immediately followed up when she makes that damn terrible scream and bites her fist like a damsel in distress in a like a 1930s movie. I hate that scene. I hate her overacting on that. It is the worst damn acting in the movie. That is the scene I can't stand. There, I had to get that out. Okay, I feel so much better now.
Fair.
Glad you didn't let your moment pass.
I missed it. I don't think I've never noticed that. I mean, I hear the joke, but I don't think I've ever caught that. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again.
Yeah.
Probably
Okay,
not.
before I give my final verdict on this film, I've got to mention two or three more things really fast because I forgot to mention them earlier and they're important. I learned that voodoo actually is something that does take place in India. It's not the same name, obviously, but they do have voodoo doll-ish type things. I had to look that up because I'm like, oh man, is this actually accurate? I was like, oh. There is some actual references to that kind of stuff in Indian culture. That, and I was blown away by the amount of anamorphic lens flares in the mines. I was like, oh no, look at all these lens flares. And they're all anamorphic lens flares.
I don't know what that means, Joe.
So what you're
was
saying, Joe, is that at some point, J.J. Abrams must have watched Temple of Doom as a youth and went, holy shit, and then it altered his life going forward? Oh.
Yes, exactly. He's like, we just need 10 times more of that. That and the movie, basically everything, all the bad people get wrangled up because of
Gravity.
colonialism.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Because the British
Forces, what's the line?
Come out, and you know
British
they're the good
like
guys.
to-
They're wearing blue. Oh, I mean, it's locals that are underneath British leadership. So it's like the British colonial army come and save the day by, I guess, arresting everybody. So,
Oh man, I missed that.
this movie also promotes colonialism being good and is restoring law and
Is that
order.
what Holy Grail was making fun of at the end of their movie? Where everyone just gets arrested?
Maybe.
I'm trying to remember the line that the major said in the castle.
Oh, he was just doing
Or not the
an
major.
inspection
No,
or something.
they were doing an inspection, but the maitre d or whatever he is just like the British Army likes to inspect whenever they feel like it. I forget the line.
Yeah. Well,
It's gonna bother me now.
you can post it on our Facebook or to our Twitter account after the fact and interact with the 0 people who comment on
Come
our
on, guys,
stuff.
leave a comment.
Oh, wait, that's not 0. It's like 1 every 2 to 3 months.
That's not us.
That's not us, yeah. It's not one of those accounts that say, hey, do you want to be friends? And then disappear a month later because they got found out that they're a spam account. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to mention is Willie is the result of Stockholm Syndrome. That's the only reason why she falls in love with Indy. And this movie is pure nostalgia for me. If I would walk in on this movie now, I'd say this movie is really bad compared to at least the first one. I'm pretty sure my opinion will be it's worse than Crusade. So
I mean, yeah, if you're going to compare this movie against those
I like
two,
this movie because of how much of it I've watched. What?
if that's where you want to do your comparisons and not compare this movie to like Sharknado, then I guess this movie just doesn't hold up as well.
Well, you shouldn't be like comparing
Comparing
many
any
movies to Sharknado.
Sharknado ever.
So we all kind of determined that this movie is a little bit on the fence for people. And I'm going to deem it being depends on nostalgia to really dig in deep and enjoy this movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that has been Cracking the Monkey Skull and slurping on chilled monkey brains of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Doomy doom doom doom.
If you'd like to comment, subscribe, that kind of stuff helps the YouTube algorithm. And join us soon as we return to actual podcasting. So look out for that. If you could share this episode or others with your friends who also love movies from the 80s and maybe the 90s, it could help us get on our feet again, and maybe that line is no longer applicable.
Oh, man.
I have to rewrite this.
Oh no.
So come back in 2 weeks when we feature Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and rewind and reboot it again!
Heck yeah.
I didn't say it any other time except this time. When we rewind and reboot again! Oh, that peaked really hard. I should do it. When we rewind and reboot again! That probably peaked. No, that one didn't peak, but I looked across the room. That one will keep.
I like the idea of you keeping all of these together.
Yeah, I think you should just leave those in.
Will do.
Yay.
Yeah.